Let's preview tonight's Spurs Bulls game. And are we already at the point of no return?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Hot Rod.
And I'm RC from the Cybertron Spurs.
And you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Happy Friday, TGIF, everybody. Hope you're having a great end of the work week. And we'll get you through it right here on Locked On Spurs. What are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at tonight's game, Spurs Bulls. Preview of that. Maybe the streak will end. The losing streak? Yeah, maybe. We'll see. And then we're going to have our guest on coming up next, Mike Taylor from The Mike Taylor Show. He and I are going to be discussing, are we already at the point of the season where it's the point of no return? Also, who's to blame for the horrific start of the Spurs season? That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, Ken's 5 Plus app. Basically, go anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Locked On Spurs and the rest of the Locked On Podcast Network will be there for you to subscribe. And we thank you for that. You guys are the everydayers. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. So your Spurs and Chicago Bulls, they play tonight at the Frost Bank Center. Welcoming back DeMar DeRozan. That's probably the biggest highlight of all of this game because you never know with this Spurs team. Are they going to pick up another L on this losing streak? Don't know. We'll see. And many have this game as the streak buster for the Spurs, but I don't know. I just don't know. I'm pretty sure you're just as uncertain considering the way things have been in San Antonio. Let's look at tonight's game, Spurs versus Bulls. Your Spurs are coming into tonight's game 3-17. 15-game losing skid. They can tie the franchise record tonight. You don't want that dubious honor, Spurs. Break that slump right now. The Bulls are 8-14 coming into tonight's game. The Bulls will be without Zach LaVine due to injury. And a quick injury report for the Spurs, no injuries. Everybody is going to be playing, so hopefully that bodes well for the Spurs. Let's take a look back at what happened in the last game. Spurs are coming off a road loss versus Minnesota, 102-94. Wemby watch. Wemby had 12 points and 10 rebounds. Not one of his best games shooting wise. Just wasn't a night for him. Doug McDermott had 11 points. Zach Collins had 12 points and 8 rebounds in the loss. Sohan had 6 points and 0 assists. Keldon Johnson had 21 points to lead the team, 10 rebounds as well. Devin Vassell had 22 points. By the way, Pop trotted out a different lineup. Interesting. We'll see what the lineup is tonight, but it was no Sohan as starting point guard. He came off the bench. Vassell was a starting point guard. We'll see if that trend continues. Could be a one-off thing. Maybe the experiment is over. We'll see, but keep an eye on that. The uniforms, for those who are on Spurs uniform watch, they'll be wearing their black Icon Edition jerseys tonight at the Frost. So what are some things you got to keep an eye on? This is why I think it might be another long night for your Spurs. Let's take a look at the Bulls side first. Keep an eye on this. The Bulls have lost 7 consecutive road games, but are on a 3-game winning streak at home. So they're coming in hot. They're coming in on that good vibes, good feelings. The Spurs are on that 15-game losing streak. So keep an eye on just the intensity level. The Spurs bringing in that energy to snap that losing streak, or the Bulls coming in trying to keep that winning streak going on. We'll see tonight in the at the Frost. Now, the last 10 games, this is interesting. The Bulls have won 6-4. And in those wins, they're averaging 121.2 points per game. So Spurs defense has got to be on their P's and Q's, something that has been severely lacking this entire Spurs season, just playing consistent defense. 121 points for the Chicago Bulls versus the Spurs in the last 10 games. That doesn't spell good defense. Hopefully the Spurs will keep that in mind heading into tonight's game. There is good news, though. There is good news. The Bulls have lost 3 games straight in San Antonio. So hopefully history will repeat itself. All right, so what are we looking at in the Spurs side of things? Well, scoreboard watch. You would think being at home, bode well for the Spurs, especially leading at halftime. But They leading at halftime doesn't mean much this season for your silver and black. Spurs are winless, 0-5 when leading at halftime. It goes to show you they cannot maintain leads. If it's a 1-point lead, 20-point lead, 10-point lead, don't matter. At home, they blow leads. 5 times they've done that. So I don't care what you're thinking at halftime. If they're up at the scoreboard, just wait a second. Just wait. See how the second half finishes out. Now, there is good news. The Spurs were competitive for 3 quarters versus the Wolves. They were tied going into the final frame in Minnesota, and then the wheels fell off. But again, just keep an eye on that. Also, more good news, if you don't want to have a lot of doom and gloom on your silver and black, the Spurs are out assisting opposition in 3 straight games. So they're sharing the ball. They're moving the ball this season. That's been one of the very few bright spots for the Spurs. They do rank high among teams that assist the ball, and they've proven that in the last 3 games. Hopefully that'll create opportunities for a W instead of an L tonight. Yeah, 15-game losing skid's got to end. Hopefully it ends tonight versus Chicago. All right, coming up next, we're going to bring our guest, Mike Taylor of The Mike Taylor Show. He and I were going to talk about if the Spurs season is already at the point of no return, and then the blame game. Who's to blame for the Spurs' horrific start? That's coming up next right here on Locked On Spurs.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Hey, I want to talk about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports DFS platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS, and it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling against thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Look, this week's PrizePicks, you want to go there right now, from Steph Curry to Anthony Davis, Luka Doncic, Kevin Durant. There's so many players you can have fun with by using the PrizePicks app. You can test your skills on PrizePicks this basketball season. It is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. PrizePicks is simple to play. You can make picks instantaneously. So easy to use. Look, they even use Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this basketball season. How about weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday? Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. Look, I have it. You should get it too. Go download the PrizePicks app right now. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA. First deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
And as promised, we're now joined by Mike Taylor of The Mike Taylor Show. That's on YouTube. He's going to brag about his show in just a few minutes. Welcome back, Mike. We missed you, buddy.
Good to be home, man. Good to be back.
Yeah, exactly. I wish there was not a losing streak to talk about, though. Good Lord.
I was with you 3 weeks ago? A month ago?
They were still losing, right?
Yeah, they haven't won since.
They haven't won since.
We were talking about your artwork.
Yeah, and it's been like a full month and change now. That the last time they won was November 2nd, I believe, in Phoenix.
Remember, they were 3-2, and it's like, okay, what's up? What's up? Serving notice.
yeah, going out in Phoenix and beating Phoenix and making Kevin Durant look like a chump, thanks to Keldon Johnson. And then that changed a lot. By the way, how does Vegas know this? How did Vegas know this team was going to be trash? Like, do they have crystal balls there? Do they have a time machine or something?
They know
because, good Lord.
They were 3-2, so I have a bet with my brother. My brother is a filthy Dallas Mavericks fan. He lives in the Metro Sex. He thinks everything in the world and the universe revolves around that area.
Yeah.
I'm always getting beaten down with Luka did this and Luka did that. He's the youngest to do this. I'm like, dude, no one gives a damn about Luka. No one outside of your town cares or even thinks about Luka Doncic. Anyway, so he and I have a bet. I bet him that the Spurs would win 35 games, $100.
Oh, man.
And so after they beat the Suns the second time when they were 3-2, I texted him, "Hey, you want to go ahead and just give me that $100 now for my birthday? Go right ahead.
Yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take $101 bills. Just messing with my brother."
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Oh my God.
Man.
There's no way they're going to win 35
Yeah.
now. I should pay him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, everybody, make sure to follow Mike on X at Mike Taylor Show. Make sure you do that right now. Let's just dive into this, Mike. Are we there yet? Are we there at the point of no return already in this Spurs season? It just feels that way. That's it. It's done.
Well, no return with the destination having been where was it going?
The destination was the play-in. The destination was sneaking into those final spots there.
Yes, there's no way. We're 20 games in. This is it. You can now judge this team pretty good.
Yeah,
we're a quarter of the way in. They are horrible. They are so bad. They can't stop anybody. They don't make threes. They are horrible. And the other night, they're playing in Minnesota, and I expected them to get waxed, and they played hard. Pop made changes to the lineup. They responded, played competitively for 3 quarters.
Right.
And in the fourth quarter, Minnesota's like, oh, let's see. Is it fourth quarter? Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
We're playing the Spurs. I forgot. Yeah, let's turn it on now.
Nothing. It's just they're so bad, man. They're so much worse than I think. And what's scary is they're so much worse than they thought they were going to be. And to heck with you and me, we don't know anything. They didn't think they'd be this bad. We're way past. Which the point of no return. I mean, this thing's not good right now. It's just about salvaging mentalities, figuring out what needs to be changed because we've seen it, and this ain't it.
Yeah. Tonight they got the Bulls, and all the Bulls are 8-14, well below 500. I can't even say, this is the slump buster. I think this is it. No, I can't even say that. I thought that would be Memphis when Memphis came to San Antonio. Nope, it was the other way around. Spurs were their slump buster. And that's what the Spurs have become. Just that team that teams can just see as a calendar and be like, I'm making this up. Ja Morant's coming back from suspension. Spurs are up next. Ja, that's your return game. Luka Doncic, you got bumped up and you want to return back. That's your game. That's what it feels like now. And the Spurs have become that. Yeah, the play-in now is just a dream. And what's so crushing is how the season started, Mike. You and I were at Media Day. We stood together. We were there. And what did we hear? Wins, baby, wins. We're all about wins. What happened to that? It's like, did they? I mean, I would have rather them come out and say, you know what? We're still in the rebuilding process. This is what it is. We're going to try to see where these kids are. Give us about 2-3 seasons. I would have preferred that versus what we heard on Media Day, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a new feeling in the room. There was this passing of the torch as they were leaving the old medical center building for the new rocket launch era. Now we're going to start moving into that franchise we want to be, and that's what I said a second ago. They are probably stunned at how bad they are. Yeah. They didn't see this coming. No way. Not to that extent. 20 games in. Okay. 8-12, that's cool. 7-13, that's cool too. That's not, but to where they are and how non-competitive they are, you talk about them being a slump buster. Even if they beat the Bulls, okay, great. That doesn't mean that they're all of a sudden going to reel off 4 out of 5. They're not going to. They're never going to bust any slumps. They're just trying to get to 10 wins at this point. What's the worst record in the history of the league? 12 and something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's the worst. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, I'm glad you brought up that magic number 12. They are actually on pace right now to finish the season with 12 wins, and that's no joke. If they're at the pace they stay right now, it's a 12-win season, worse than last year, and that's with Wemby. And what's just a little bit shocking to me is this is a team that theoretically, Mike, should have been better considering they had a season together. That chemistry they developed. All you're doing is just inserting Wemby. That's it. I really thought that would translate into some cohesion, some rah-rah, hey, Vassell, Trey Jones, Keldon, Jeremy. We went through this last year. We learned so much. Let's put all that together. Let's go for it. Now we got this kid now, this generational guy. Let's rock and roll. and that has not panned out. I think put last year's team versus this year's team. Dare I say, last year's team beats this year's team, that even with Wemby?
Sure. I don't think there's any question about that. So Vassell got hurt, which is unfortunate. Tweaks his groin, and so they brought him back slowly, and he hasn't been starting until Minnesota the other night. 5 straight games he comes off the bench. They keep saying they're trying to, because he had the tweaked groin. But I'm okay. 2 games, then get him back in the starting lineup. Devin should have been starting already. They have no flow. They don't make threes. I don't know that they get. I'm not one of these geeks that looks into all these different metrics and how many open shots they have versus contested. I let guys like you tell me that, and I read your reports and steal it. They've got to be one of the worst flow teams in the league. Their point guard situation may be the worst point guard situation in the NBA. Trey Jones, Jeremy Sohan, and throw in anybody else that might play the position. The core, like the overall core. I'm not saying Trey Jones is the worst point guard in the league. Jeremy Sohan probably is, but together they form the worst point guard core amongst any team in the NBA. Wemby's Wemby. He's going to have mistakes. He's going to have nights where he is not as effective. He struggled the other night against Minnesota because they're real big and they leaned on him. Keldon Johnson appears to just be a stat machine. One of these guys, because somebody has to score points for bad teams too. And like these, they don't have anybody. And Pops alluded to this 3 or 4 times, and it happened in Minnesota. They don't have anybody they can turn to in winning time. When the game is on the line, other teams give it to their stars. They don't have any, which and it's obvious they don't. I think Devin Vassell's the closest thing to being a borderline star in the league, and Wemby will be. But right now they have nobody they can rely on. They have no go-to guy. And it just, you think about that and you go back and it makes you wonder why they were, and look, they weren't saying we want to win the title in the summer, but you sat there at that media day just like I did when Pop said it's about wins. How did you not know your team was going to be this bad? This is an indictment on coaches and management. It really is. Not that I'm not saying that they're not being coached, they're not being developed, but they damn sure overrated the roster that they had because they are worse than last year's team. I don't think there's any question. Last year's team on paper beats this current group. It's sad.
You know what I'm interested in is just this is a team, a squad, or a franchise that has the best of the best. Again, we've got the new facility out there. We know they're probably staffed with some of the best analytical minds in the game of basketball. And it how hard is it just to be like, hey, Pop and Mitch Johnson and all the guys, look at the numbers with Sohan at PG and look at the numbers with Trey Jones at PG. See, there's a big difference there. So if we want wins, let's just flip it up. And now they had a chance to do that against Minnesota to say, you know what, let's throw in the white flag. This Sohan thing ain't working. Trey, you're in. You want to snap a losing streak, do that if the numbers show that. But they didn't. They went ahead and opted for Devin Vassell, which is head scratching. He's like, do you want to win? Like the numbers show with this kid, Trey Jones, out there. Yay, wins come, statistically, but they don't do that. So that's what's a little baffling to me. It's like, just what do you got to lose at this point? If we're at the point of no return, screw it. Trey, get out there. Just do what you got to do.
Sure. Why are you giving Trey Jones a contract extension if you're not going to play him at the position? You're not going to let him run the position. You're shoehorning poor Jeremy Sohan. I'm worried about his mentality. It's not his fault. He's been asked to go do things he's not capable of doing. And I don't know if it's stubbornness or what. I don't know if there's something about Trey Jones that they don't like at all. And look, I think you and I are not, and I'm with you 100%. We're not arguing Trey Jones is going to be the starting point guard on the Western Conference All-Star team. No. But it's obvious he's the only true point guard they have. Clearly, you have a better flow with him out there. Whether you win the games or not, they're not competitive is what I'm saying. They have no chance. At no point did I think they were going to win that Minnesota game the other night, even tied at the end of the third. They just get curb stomped in the fourth quarter when it mattered because they have a bad rotation of guys. They're a group of misfit toys, and it's going to take a lot. I mean, I have no idea why. It's like there's almost like Pop's being stubborn with his rotation. I couldn't believe he started Osman the other night. I was excited. Great. That's great. Even if they lose, at least you're telling me you recognize that this thing's
there's
not
a problem
and something else needs to be done.
Exactly. Yeah. And when I go to the games and I'm there on Media Pro, there's other media members are with me, and I've had one of them tell me, "Hey, look, we're tied at the first." I'm like, "Wait, give it time, give it time." Or tied at halftime again. Wait, give it time. Here's a little stat for you. Every time they're winning at halftime at home, they've lost all games. They can't hold leads. They lost every single time they're ahead at halftime.
Right.
But yes, everybody, it looks like we're now at that point of no return. It looks like there probably won't be any play again. The only thing I can think of, if you turn things around, is maybe Trey Jones starts and they do some sort of big trade, bring in some guy. But even then, if they're at this path now, even getting to the trade deadline, I mean, at that point, it ain't even worth it. Just might as well just tank and just get yourself a high draft pick. But
it's worth tanking. We're getting to the point where it's almost worth the tank.
Yeah, exactly. He is Mike Taylor of the Mike Taylor Show on YouTube. He'll be talking about his show and how you can watch that and subscribe later on this episode of Locked On Spurs. When we get back, the blame game. Who's to blame? I think I heard Mike already kind of throw some blame out there already, but he'll get deeper to that. I'll throw out some things that I think is to blame for the struggles the Silver and Black are going through right now. Coming up next on Locked On Spurs.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
I know we come to sports to escape from the crazy realities of real life, but can we just talk for a minute about preparing for real life? According to the FDA, pharmacies are running out of antibiotics like amoxicillin right in the middle of the worst flu season over a decade. This is crazy. I can't imagine a more helpless feeling than if, for example, a loved one that, a grandmother, a father, a mother, a sister, a brother, whatever, or one of your kids got sick while a supply chain issue kept them from life-saving medication that they needed. Thankfully, you'll be okay, and we'll all be okay because of Jace Medical. The Jace case is a pack of 5 different antibiotics to treat a long list of bacterial illnesses, including UTIs, respiratory infections, sinusitis, skin infections, among others. This stuff could happen to any of us. That's why you got to go to Jace Medical. Go to jacemedical.com right now. Go visit it and complete your physician encounter. It'll be reviewed by a board-certified physician, and your medications will be dispensed by a licensed pharmacy at a fraction of the regular cost. I have a Jace case. It's very nice. Comes in a nice packaging. All the medications are labeled for you with detailed descriptions, and they're a space saver. They don't take a lot of space in your house or your apartment. They fit neatly in a cabinet. And again, I feel secure knowing I have those antibiotics with me in case something happens. So it gives me a little bit of peace of mind. It's never been more important to be prepared than today. Go to jacemedical.com. Use offer code LOCKEDON. Get yourself $20 off your order. Hey, I want to talk about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Go to 2404 Thousand Oaks, San Antonio. Go there right now. They're open every day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They have a big menu, so many options for you. Dairy alternatives, the signature drink, the Mudslinger. They even have signature drinks as well, like the Alien. You know who that's about, Victor Wembanyama, full can of Red Bull, Kiwi Green Apple. They even have the Sub-Zero. That's in honor of Frank Harris, UTSA's very own. They got so much more there. They even have the Red Bull infused Lightning Bolt series. I mean, shall I go on? Of course I'll go on. They have mini donuts. They have a friendly staff. They have a convenient location in this 281-1604 area. And they are a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs and a proud community member of San Antonio. Look, they're so active on social media. You can find them on X, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. The list goes on and on. Make sure to follow them at Mudslinger, SATX. That's all one word. Do that now, San Antonio. Over 300 5-star reviews cannot be wrong. They are so awesome there. Go there right now. They even have the OG OJ. I had a little bit to do with that. That's the Orange Julius recreated only at Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Go there right now, San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive, open every day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Life is too short for bland coffee. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Mike Taylor of the Mike Taylor Show. You can find that on YouTube. And go subscribe right now. It's a great show. You want all things sports, just city life, everything. And also the 3 Cents podcast. What's that about?
Yeah, I'm doing a thing with Cleto Rodriguez, the longtime stand-up comic, and Ernie Zuniga, the longtime news anchor over at Fox 29.
Yeah.
We're three middle-aged guys in the middle of a transition career-wise, and so we've banded together to do a podcast about a bunch of stuff. Thank you.
There you go. We'll talk about that more coming up on Locked On Spurs. So you kind of alluded to it a bit in the last segment. Who was to blame for this horrific start to the season? You mentioned coaching, management. Is it really just about that, or is it a bigger issue? Maybe the roster. This is not going to work, and it's time to maybe blow it up. Dare I say? Who would you triage as far as number one, blame, two, blame, three, blame?
Well, I mean, it has to start with players. I've always said, like, even back in the heyday of the Big Three, people would get mad. Matt Bonner missed a big three down the stretch and we lost. And we didn't lose the game because Matt Bonner missed a three.
Exactly.
In the NBA, especially because it's a star-driven league, there's only 5 guys out there that can make an impact at once. Your stars win and your stars lose. Your worker bee players are what they are. You can interchange them, you can upgrade, but at the end of the day, and this is the reason the Spurs never win any games, is because the other team's stars step up and run us off the floor every night when they have to. My point there is I'm highly disappointed in Keldon Johnson. And I don't Taylor's mean he's picking on the best guy we got, because we don't have a lot of good players. They've got 2 really good players, talented.
And he is technically the most veteran of the Spurs. He's the most tenured Spur, so it should be him.
It's like I just don't think he's capable of taking over a game. He's capable of putting up 20 points. He's capable of double-doubles. But he's not. He can't take over games. Pop said his tweet 3 times already this season. We don't have anybody that can take over. Okay, they just gave Devin Vassell this monstrous contract extension. He's not taking over games either. He's not going tit for tat with the other team stars. I didn't anticipate Victor Wembanyama would be the guy that would do that all of the time. The 2 guys, Vassell and Johnson, are the guys that I blame first. They have been a massive letdown to this organization because the organization put faith in them that they would be the 2 guys that would get us wins and let Wemby develop. And on occasion, Wemby's the man. But because Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell are such monsters and they're such threats, it makes Wemby's life easier. It's to the point now where Wemby almost has to be the guy that wins any games, and they're not winning any of them. Because their top 2 guys outside of Wembanyama are not getting it done. So that's my first. That's where it starts for me.
Yeah, for me, it's go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
You go, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was going to go with Popovich. I think it starts with the coach. It starts with him. We talked about it in the last segment. If it shows that Trey Jones is the better fit for that starting unit, go with it, Pop. Make the call. Just do it. Sure, okay, fine. You tried out Sohan, it didn't work out. We don't know. Maybe. They might opt to not go with that again tonight versus Chicago. But the point is, at some point during the last 20-ish games, he had to realize that they ain't working. So let's throw Trey Jones out there and see how that works. And so I think rotations, lineups, pulling Wemby out, not just telling the guys to give it to him. I've seen time and time again, Wemby wide open underneath with Lou Dort, for example, guarding him. Or SGA from the Thunder and then you see Malachi shooting the 3, Keldon driving. I mean, he's right there. Pop, just call the timeout, chew the guys out, tell them feed it to Wemby. How many times did we see that during the Duncan era? Pop would call timeout if players were not giving Duncan the ball. Sure. I would like to see that. I would like to see. So for me, the blame goes with Popovich right now.
Well, and I'm with you on that too. So rather than chew guys out and make changes during the games, we get, they played really hard tonight. We were competitive for 4 quarters. Tim Duncan never got credit for being competitive. It's the freaking NBA. You're all making $20 million a year. You being competitive we're not going to praise you for effort. This is not Red Ribbon Week at high school. Yeah. This is the NBA. After they got beat by Minnesota, Pop he was praiseworthy of their effort. Dude, what are you doing? He is not the old Pop we're used to.
No,
I think it's got to be, I don't know if he's gotten too old or he is just, this roster can't be yelled at. And by the way, if he has a roster that can't be yelled at, ship 4 or 5 of their asses out of here and get some guys in here who can be yelled at, because this thing sucks. So and he has so far 20 games of the season. Pop's he's gone by. There's 2 things we think of with him. A, he has butchered his point guard situation, and B, the only people he's actually yelled at all season were his own fans because they booed public enemy number 1.
Exactly.
So what Pop's done so far: chewed us out. Coddled his own guys, praising guys for effort when they got beat by 20 points. And shoehorning poor Jeremy Sohan at point guard. The kid does not want to be a point guard. It's not working. Now he's got confidence issues, and that's on the guy calling the shots. I'm with you on that too.
Yeah. Another one too is like, thank you NBA schedule makers for putting the Spurs against the best of the best to start the season. Thanks for that. I really appreciate that. That was very nice of you guys. Just they're getting the Denvers, they're getting the Clippers, they're getting the Lakers in a few days. They're just getting the worst teams that already been set, and we're good to go, Pelicans and Kings. But still, I saw the schedule. I was like, okay, fine. Again, this is preseason now. You got Wemby, you got technically a seasoned squad. It was pretty much the same one. They should be all right. Okay, you'll be competitive in these games. That's all I want. No, they're getting just bashed in the head, left and right. So, it is frustrating. Fans are definitely really targeting Pop a lot this year, more so than I've ever experienced since Pop's come on board. Really, like, it's, glue factory, you got to go. It's over, time's done. So, but their scheduling, they just got the worst of the worst. They got front loaded, and maybe it'll pan out in the second half of the season when we get there. Who knows? But at this point, I'm not holding my breath. So, any other, blame game you want to go to before we let you go?
Well, management too. Brian Wright and Pop. And, of course, it's the old, you never know how much input Pop has in personnel versus Brian Wright's input. Or are they working together 50-50, whatever? Managers and coaches are paid to know their own rosters. They're paid to know what makes their rosters tick. Management has fielded the worst team in the NBA this year. And told us on media day it's about wins. That means you didn't know what you were doing. The head coach has stubbornly shoehorned his swingman from Baylor, Jeremy Sohan, at point guard, and it has failed miserably. So we're 20 games in here, and you have shown that you don't know your own roster. I cannot believe we're saying that 20 games in about Greg Popovich and Brian Wright and the San Antonio Spurs. They have fielded the worst roster in the league. They're stunned. They didn't see this coming, just like you and I didn't. And that's an indictment on them, because you're supposed to know what you got, and they did not.
Spurs fans, I'm going to try a little bit to make you feel a little better. At least we're not Detroit. We're not there yet. Close.
Sure. By the way, I'm not calling for Pop's firing. I am demanding he get his stuff together and let's go. Again, I don't want to hear about new generation. They're young. I want some accountability, because you're paying guys. Well, what's the average NBA player make these days? $9 million, $10 million bucks.
Yeah,
you're paying guys like you're paying Devin Vassell north of $25 million a year. You're paying Keldon Johnson $20 million a year. I don't want to hear about we're young, we're trying hard, we're not gonna. I can't be mean to them. I don't want to hear any of that business.
Yeah. See, Mike and I, we're from the 70s and 80s, so back in that day, none of this would have ever flown.
Well, there's no reason. I know there's no reason those days can't look. I don't have good old day syndrome. I'm not saying everything was better then, but there's no reason why we have to coddle everybody in the NBA now. Tom Thibodeau's still coaching, and I promise you, no one likes him.
And Spo does the same way too.
Sure, you don't have to do the full circle, but there has to be some accountability. Eric Spoelstra is not praising the Heat when they get beat by 15 because we were competitive all 4 quarters. What are we doing? It may not be the players that are soft. It may be the coach who's gone soft.
And right there, here you have it. Couldn't think of a better way to let Mike go. Hey, one thing we will not blame you for is if you go to his YouTube page, The Mike Taylor Show, right now. So don't let us blame you for not pumping those numbers up. Go get those numbers up. Mike, tell us what you got cooking on YouTube, your show, and a little bit more about 3 cents.
Sure, thank you, man. So I know we're running against it. So I do a daily podcast Monday through Thursday, and the YouTube page is Mike Taylor Live. Or you can just Google Mike Taylor on YouTube and you'll find me. We're on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Patreon, Spotify. It's Mike Taylor Live. And I do a show called 3 Cents Podcast. If you just go to me, it has links to all my shows. That makes it easier. That's the easiest way to remember. Just Google me and put my name in YouTube or Spotify. You'll find all my shows.
Absolutely. Follow him on X at Mike Taylor Show. Make sure you do that right now. And again, there you'll find all the links, all that good stuff. Go subscribe to his show right now. It's very entertaining. It's fun. It's not Disney like it is here, and that's what I like about it. I have no choice. I have to keep it Disney, per company rules. But you want to let me have
25 minutes, and I didn't curse once. I said damn once.
Yeah, that's a big deal. But anyway, follow him on X. You see it on your screen right now. Hey, thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. We'll be back next week. More Spurs. Hopefully, no losses to talk about. Maybe some wins, but I ain't holding my breath. More Wemby talk. Find us on YouTube, Ken 5 Plus app, iTunes, Spotify, just wherever you find your favorite sports podcast, whatever it is, go there right now. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs. And again, don't forget to subscribe to Mike's show, the Mike Taylor Show on YouTube. So for Mike Taylor, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.